With the release of the Backrooms film, there has been a resurgence in its popularity. From what I've heard, there has been mixed reviews, but after watching it, I was left with a deep curiosity. What is the Backrooms, and why did it take the internet by storm? Today, we'll be doing a deep dive into the origins of the Backrooms, the levels, the entities, and we will also be talking about the 2026 Backrooms film, public reactions to it, as well as my own personal reaction to it. Let's dive right into it. The original Backrooms photo was uploaded to a 4chan paranormal board on X, aka Twitter, in April 2018, but it wasn't discovered by the masses until May of 2019. People took this one photo, posted on a paranormal board, and made an entire reality out of it. The first adaptations of the concept of Backrooms were drawn from creepypastas and subreddit communities. People made games like Escape the Backrooms and Into the Backrooms, which were the most popular Backrooms games of the time. These games were based on the sub-community, the most popular community on Reddit about Backrooms, r/Backrooms. This is where people created the entire lore for the Backrooms, basically, which catapulted us into all of these different adaptations that fans of the Backrooms have created to this day. An original post from 7 years ago explains what the Backrooms was at its core. It reads, "Here are the basics. There's a place called the Backrooms that exists between dimensions. You get to the place between dimensions by no-clipping. This is more likely to occur in certain parts of the world, referred to as entry points. It also seems more likely the more you think about the Backrooms as those who attempt to no-clip have a far greater chance at success. You begin on level 0, which is the place with musty yellow carpet and walls you've seen on the images. This goes on for what seems like forever. There are many things that people have claimed to find in the Backrooms that are not shown in the original post and are up for debate. For instance, the original post mentions the sounds of monsters, but never explicitly shows them to you. Some users have claimed to discover these monsters while exploring the Backrooms. Other users claim that there are staircases that lead to other levels of the Backrooms. Levels 0, 1, and 2 are the most accepted canonical levels of the Backrooms. Although others claim to go even further in, these additional levels vary in style and content, with some levels continuing the trend of the endless hallways with just a different style of architecture, and others claiming that these levels have complete rooms in them, such as security camera rooms, kitchens, stock rooms, barricades, etc. As an observer, I've never gone into the Backrooms myself, but have access to observation equipment and contact with some explorers that have found places to hole up in the Backrooms. It's generally accepted that the Backrooms somehow have Wi-Fi access, so those inside it can make contact via internet. I strongly recommend against attempting to no-clip into the Backrooms. They are extremely hazardous, both physically and mentally. If you go in, don't expect to ever come out. Now, this post was interesting to me. What stood out to me was the last sentence that I just wrote. If you go into the Backrooms, don't expect to come out. Before I say this, I want to give a spoiler warning. I will be talking about things that happen in the movie because I've already watched it. So if you haven't watched it and you don't want to get spoiled, I would recommend that you click off the video now. In the film, we see Clark, the main character, seamlessly go in and out of the Backrooms, He has no trouble, coming and going into the Backrooms. I think after a certain point when he kind of lost his mind, he decided to stay in the Backrooms and live there. But in the beginning of the movie, when he first discovered the Backrooms, he was able to go in and out as he pleased. That is a stark difference from what original Reddit users say about the Backrooms. They say, if you're in there, you can't leave. And I think that's the most commonly accepted theory about the Backrooms, but in the movie, they interpreted it differently. So I just found that pretty interesting about this user Wizmaster's post. Thank you, Wizmaster, for your very informative post. So we're going to talk about the levels that this Reddit user says are the most canonically accepted levels. Generally everyone believes that these levels are real. This is real hardcore Backrooms lore. These are canon levels. So we're going to be talking about level 0, 1, and 2, and then we're also going to be talking about some other levels that are notable in the Backrooms, and we're also going to be talking about, what levels can be accessed according to the Backrooms wiki from these initial levels 0, 1, and 2. So let's get into it. So, level 0, I think everyone knows what level 0 is. It's the iconic picture that was posted on that 4chan forum. It is the Backrooms. The lobby is generally known as a level that is safe, it's unstable, and there's no known entities on this level. If you don't know what an entity is in relation to the Backrooms, just think of it as a monster that lives in the Backrooms, and they live on certain levels, and some levels do not have them, some levels do. They're just monsters, basically. This level doesn't have any entities, but it is dangerous, it's unstable, because you couldn't really survive here. There are no known encampments on this level. On other levels, there are people who actually live in the Backrooms, because like I said, apparently according to original lore of the Backrooms, you are not allowed to leave. Once you enter the Backrooms, you can't leave. So people started living here. But on this level in particular, there is no one living here because there are no resources on this level. It is a vast office space, yellow walls, yellow carpet, fluorescent lighting. It is a maze of weirdly placed walls, doors that you would never see anywhere in your real life. And it can kind of drive you crazy. People are known to have hallucinations and delusions after being isolated in such a bright place for so long. This level went viral for its familiarity. People who saw this picture believed that this was a place that they had been to before, but they couldn't quite remember where exactly it was. This is the level that most people encounter when they initially no clip into the Backrooms from what is called the front rooms in the Backrooms universe. The front rooms is literally just Earth. It is where you and me are right now. Normal life, normal rooms, normal world. That is the front rooms. So if you no clip through a wall in the front rooms, you are likely going to end up in level 0, but that is not the only place that you could end up. Not everyone always ends up on level 0 during their first entrance into the Backrooms, and we will talk about that more a bit later. There are also multiple exits from this level. You can simply wander far enough to get to level 1, which we will talk about in a bit. You can either break through a wall or break through the floor to get to level 483 or level 27. 483 is if you break into a wall of level 0, and level 27 is if you break into a floor. So not much is known about these two levels. What I can say that I noticed about them is they're basically like spin-offs of level 0. Like level 483 is basically level 0 but in a grayscale, and it's just like more of like one long hallway, but it still has the same like vibe and feeling of level 0, as like it's just, you're walking through a bunch of hallways endlessly. It feels endless. And level 27 is basically like level 0, but it's like different interior design. Basically it's a like wood. It kind of feels like an old and grungy space that you would see in someone's house that's like really old, when they would plaster all of the walls with like this wood texture that wasn't really wood. It's basically what level 27 looks like. So those are the two ways that you can exit, breaking through a wall, breaking through a floor. You can also enter a rare emergency exit, which will lead you to level 14. Level 14 is very dangerous. It's a hospital, and there are multiple entities and hazards on this level. Overall, this is not a place that you want to end up. There is a very scary entity called the Hunter, which is apparently patient 0. I do not know what infected it, but it seems like a ball of tentacles. That's the best way that I can describe it. I don't really know much more because I didn't really do a crazy deep dive into these different levels, because there's a lot of different levels that you can reach through just the first 3 levels. It's crazy. But there's one more exit from level 0. You can end up in level 13, which is a greenhouse-like place. It's relatively safe, and you can get to it through like a glass sliding door that would be resemblant of a greenhouse, and it will lead you to this relatively safe level 13 that might have some psychological hazards, but overall it is a safe level. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, guys, This is me editing right now, and I lost the footage that I initially had of me talking about level 1. I really do not know what happened, but I'm just going to talk about how safe this level is, the enemies of this level, and also the encampments that are on these levels that I talked about a few minutes ago. So let's get into it. So first of all, this level is safe, stable, and there's minimal entity counts. This is probably the safest and most livable area of the levels that we're covering so far. General description, basically it's a parking garage. That's what it resembles. And we also have in this level, we have entities. So we have false puddles, which basically are almond-shaped puddles. If you step through them, will fall into a mouth of teeth and you will die. And then we also have paintings that essentially, if you come across a painting in a parking garage, which is already weird in itself, you could basically get sucked into it by a living organism that may be living inside the painting. And it's not really known what will happen to you after this. So, yeah, just avoid paintings and puddles on this level. Yeah, that's level 1 for you, and then we'll go back to the original format of the video. Thank you. So, we do have some entrances and exits for level 1. Basically, the only ways to get into level 1 is through level 0, level 13, and the front room. Level 13, there could be unstable flooring that would be obviously looking like a little bit weird to what the rest of the flooring looks like. You could just fall through it, fall into the parking garage, level 1, and then you can get back to level 0 by walking up a flight of stairs. And then you can also just straight no clip into level 1 from the regular normal realm. So if you no clip through a wall and enter the back rooms, you could be entering on level 1 instead of level 0. The exits of this level are pretty simple. You could just wander, end up at level 2, or you can end up back at level 0. You can also go through an unlocked door and get to level 2. You can also access the hub from this level by walking up 2 flights of stairs and then immediately walking down. And the hub was kind of interesting to me because I noticed that it is not defined by a level. It's just called the hub. So the hub is actually interesting because it is a realm between levels in the backrooms. So it isn't really classified as a level itself. It basically is a hub of entrances for many different levels. So you can get to almost any level through this place. So you could end up at level 1, one of the first levels, and then end up in the hub, and then you could end up at level 1000. Pretty big jump. Pretty big jump. I think level 1 is actually pretty tame. And a lot of other levels are pretty tame too, but you could also end up on like a really scary level. So it's pretty interesting. Just wanted to point that out. Then you can also end up on level 188 by clipping through a wall with an outlet from level 1. And level 188 is also a pretty popular level. It is the Windows level where it's just like a hotel that has, if you look out one of the windows, you can just see it's just a four-walled place that is covered in windows, and you can do like, a little grassy area in the middle of it. And this level is pretty interesting because it's actually really hard to escape the level. You could go through a window that you came from to get back to a different level, but the only way to exit besides that is to just gamble with the windows. You just gotta go through one. And it's not really known. There's nothing that's guaranteed to happen when you walk through one of these windows. You could like just fall to your death, die, or you could end up in a different level, but it could be a really scary one. It is just really dangerous to go through one of these windows on 188. So if you're here, you're low-key stuck unless you have a window that you know is safe. Then there can also be false windows, which are basically windows that are actually monsters. So you're kind of cooked if you get to this level. Kind of cooked. So do not go through a wall on level 1 that has an outlet. It is not safe. Last level that I'm going to talk about today is level 2, Pipe Dreams. So this level is described as a vast network of interconnected utility tunnels, maintenance shafts, and rusting pipes. Unlike the typically inconsistent level environments of the backrooms, space in level 2 does not physically shift live. So, yeah, when you're in this level, you're just seeing a bunch of pipes, walking through tunnels, and this level, it always remains the same. It doesn't change. I guess that's pretty good. But it is not safe. It is not safe. There are entities on this level that are a lot more dangerous than anything that we've seen before. I feel like the paintings and the puddles from level 1 weren't that frightening, easily avoidable. On this level, there are much scarier entities, but there aren't many of them, so that is a silver lining. So on this level, we have clumps, hounds, smilers, and skin stealers. I could go through what these different entities do, but I will just, generally say that they are entities that like to, linger in the shadows. They're not, gonna outright chase you, but they're gonna stalk you and just watch out. Because they're pretty scary looking. I would be scared. I don't want to get my skin stolen. Luckily, guys, I'm not in the background right now. Alright, hopefully you're not in there either. But yeah, level 2, it's a lot creepier, a lot more scary looking. Let's talk entrances and exits. So you can actually enter level 2 as well from the front rooms. You can just no clip and end up here. I would rather end up in level 0 or level 1. I don't want to end up here. But yeah, you can possibly end up no clipping straight into level 2. You can also enter through maintenance rooms that you may encounter in different levels. It doesn't say what levels you may encounter these rooms specifically. It just says that, a maintenance room could lead to the pipes. You can get here through a lot of different cityscapes levels, like level 11, level 41, level 111. Basically, if you find yourself in a city in the back rooms, you could possibly end up in level 2. And there are a lot more entrances to this place. It's mostly through like vents, like sewer drains, maintenance rooms, anything that kind of is reminiscent of this level can end up transporting you there, essentially. There are also a lot of exits and a lot of different levels that you can end up back into or going into for the first time through this level. You could end up back at level 0 through a fire exit. You could also end up in level 3 or level 477. You can end up in level 5, which I actually thought was interesting because it has like a little symbol on the door, and you can end up in level 5. I think it's like a 5 symbol, and level 5 is kind of reminiscent of level 0 as well, but it looks like slightly creepier, slightly more eerie. You can also just walk down a hallway and end up on level 4 or level 27. We talked about level 27 before. It's kind of like, the fake wood walls area, hallways, things like that. And level 4 is an office that is constantly raining outside. So that's fun. And then you could also come across a sewer tunnel, which would lead to the sewer level of the back rooms. There's also level 699, which is just like a neon light level. 699. If you see neon lights in level 2, you're likely going to end up on level 699. I wonder what happens on that level. But yeah, those are all of the initial levels, most canon levels of Backrooms. These levels lead to a lot of different things, but I do want to talk about some honorable mentions of other levels of the Backrooms that I think are very popular. And I would say that a lot of people consider them canon. It's because they went viral on the internet. I mean, in my house, they went viral. Okay, so I'm gonna be talking about the ones that I know, and I think a lot of other people know because I see a lot of video games made based off of these levels. So we have a level 37, which is Sublimity. It's the pool level. I think a lot of people know about this level. A lot of games are based in this level. Pool level. It's called Sublimity. It is pretty safe. No entities. Low key chill. But it is like just a vast level of just like pools and water. Some of them are traditional, some of them are really weird. Your staircases, you can definitely end up on different levels from this level. But I just wanted to give this one a shout out because I think it's probably I think it's more popular than level 1 or 2. I've never even heard of level 1 or 2, but I definitely have heard of this one. So, Sublimity, that's a popular level. And then we also have a level called Motion, level 94. I really don't know if this is like canon because it's on a different version of the Backrooms wiki. It's not the same as what I've been getting most of my information from. But it's called level 94 Motion. It is the level that has like all of these houses, like these green hills, very blue sky. I think this is also another level that people were encapsulated by. A lot of people talk about this one. It has a medium entity count, and it is not safe. Even though it looks very safe, I feel like actually it kind of looks really creepy in a nice way. I don't know if you guys relate to that, but I don't know, it kind of creeps me out. But yeah, those are the honorable mentions with that as well. All right, now that we have covered some of the most commonly accepted and canon levels of the Backrooms, we can finally talk about a man who is credited with making the Backrooms what it is today, catapulting it into this viral phenomenon, taking it from just a creepypasta, a theorized place between realms on Reddit, to an actual viral, everyone knows about it thing. If you're on the internet, you know about the Backrooms. That is all because of Kane Parsons, also known as Kane Pixels, who made a short film slash video series on the Backrooms back in 2022. So, yeah, this is the Backroom short film. This is what everyone, this is what made everyone get into the Backrooms. His original short film was very good, I can say myself, and it was well received on YouTube, with commenters saying things like, "This horror show short is so simple yet effective as it combines so many primitive human fears, being alone and lost, the unknown, not being able to escape, being followed or chased." I love how the short film they were filming at the beginning captured the essence of why the Backrooms are scary, not knowing what is around the corner, anticipating an unknown horror about to attack. This man is actually insane. He manages to create horror that is scarier than 90% of Hollywood films. So yeah, people loved this short film. It amassed over 81 million views on YouTube, and he made a series of 22 videos on the Backrooms. And from his success with his YouTube series, he was able to make a movie about it. He is the director of the 2026 Backrooms film, once known as Kane Pixels, now going by his name Kane Parsons. He made the 2026 film. But unlike the YouTube reaction to his original short film, the movie was received horribly by most fans and people who watched the Backrooms. A lot of people did not like it. We have some reactions here from people on TikTok that I'm going to show you.
Backroom movie ass. That shit was horrible. Don't see it. Go watch Obsession because that shit was.
We do not recommend. That shit was ass.
Bad. Oh my god.
Towards the end, it just
boring.
It was just dragging.
Snooze fest.
Why is there a pirate all of a sudden? We weren't talking about nothing. Jimmy, swear to God, we were talking about. All of a sudden, a pirate comes in. The fuck? Are you serious right now? I'm mad. I can't. It's her fault.
The Backrooms movie.
Don't go see the back room. Don't go see that shit. It's bullshit. Go see something. Don't go see that shit.
And I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find anything nice to say. I mean, walk, don't run to go see the movie. It was just okay. It wasn't that good, honestly. Actually, no, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. It wasn't really that good. The entire time you're waiting for the plot to hit, it never does. And I think the only thing they got right was the actual back rooms, because we've all been to the back rooms in our dreams in some capacity. They got what my vision of the back rooms is, right? But the plot was just boring as fuck. And this is the shit that I'm talking about. It's these 2026 fake deep narrative, all this. Just make a fucking movie. Just make a good movie. It's okay to be a little bit I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but they went the route of indie sleaze. We won an Oscar, deep think, whatever, and it didn't really work. I give the movie a low 5.1 out of 10. You don't need to rush to see it, I promise. It's I don't even know how anybody could really spoil the movie for you. Nothing happened.
People were literally saying this is the worst movie they've ever seen in their life. I have to disagree with that. I do not think this was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, but I do have my critiques of it for sure. I think personally the movie was lacking, especially after doing all the research that I did on the Backrooms. I can say I left the movie longing for more, honestly. Now, I do understand that this was based on King Parsons' short film. I enjoyed his short film. I genuinely enjoyed his short film. So that's why I just am wondering, why did I not enjoy the movie that much? And I think the reason is that the short film gave me this like eerie, like creepy crawling under my skin feeling, whereas the movie I didn't really get that feeling from. I just don't think it was scary, which I think is like one of the main draws of the Backrooms is that it was scary. People found it scary, and that's what people were making games about. That's what people were making these levels about. They were making these levels about scary entities, creepy things. I'm being very big, but like, you know what I mean? Like, this was a creepy pasta. That's where all the scary things originate from. Scary internet phenomenons, they all come from creepypasta. And the movie just wasn't scary. The pirate thing wasn't scary. I'm sorry, it looked goofy. I was not afraid. And I wasn't feeling creeped out. I think it was honestly because he wasn't like trapped in the back rooms. He was able to just freely come and go. It seems like he was there willingly. And the story like played into more of the main character's insanity rather than allowing us as viewers to consume the backrooms and see these different levels of the backrooms, see the entities, and explore as a viewer what the backrooms are. We kind of just got a very surface level depiction. We only really got to see level 0, and we briefly got to see other levels during chase scenes. I just feel like it wasn't necessarily scary. It was too detached from the original lore of the backrooms, and there wasn't enough exploration. I don't agree that this is the worst movie I've ever seen. Honestly, if I walked into that theater as someone who has literally never seen anything about the Backrooms, I would think it's a good movie. I would say, hey, that was pretty good, decent horror movie. I wouldn't be disappointed at all. But as someone who kind of knows something about the Backrooms, I am a little bit disappointed because I do feel like there was a lot lacking, and I literally wanted so much more of the Backrooms that I had to do a deep dive on it right now. I had to do a deep dive because I couldn't stop thinking about how disappointing the ending of the Backrooms was. It was just so bare bones and gave me nothing. It gave me nothing. Even with like revealing the scientists and the observers that are watching people go through the Backrooms, they didn't really say anything about it. They just were like, "We've been observing people in the Backrooms," and then it ended. So you weren't gonna finish what you were talking about? I was trying to see the whole interview between them at the end. I was ready. I was sat. And then as I was getting into it, the movie ended. It was so abrupt. Like me and my friends, we were like, what? That was so short. It was only an hour 45-minute movie, which is like short nowadays compared to like the length of a lot of movies now. And I just felt like they could have used that extra 15 minutes to hit an hour to show us more of the exploration that Clark did of the backrooms off camera. Why was most of the exploration that he did off camera? Like we just jumped back to him after he had already explored the backrooms a good amount. Why couldn't we see him exploring the backrooms in depth? Because I feel like that's something we haven't really gotten to see, besides like these short films, besides these short games. We got a long movie and we didn't get to see much exploration at all. And that was my main complaint about it, honestly. I don't think it was a really bad movie. I just think, based on what I know about the backrooms, they left a lot on the table. And I wish that they would have explored a little bit more there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Do you guys think the movie was good? Did you guys not like it? Do you agree with the people that I just showed you talking about how this was the worst movie of their lives? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Just let me know what you think. Thank you guys so much for listening. That was my deep dive on the Backrooms.